Welcome to the Forge. Today we're going to be making a letter opener, and this should be a fantastic beginner blacksmithing project. This particular letter opener is going to get shipped off to my brother, who has to open up a ton of mail for the lawyers in his office. Now that sounds absolutely terrible to me, but hey, we can at least help him do it in some style. We're going to start by putting some 3/8" square stock in the forge to heat up. Once that's good and hot, we're going to bring it over the anvil and use what's called a half-face blow, where half of the hammer face is on the anvil and half is off the edge. This is going to set a shoulder into the workpiece, which differentiates the handle area from the pommel area of the letter opener. Now that we've got that shoulder set, we can start breaking down the pommel stock. We're looking to reduce its thickness, but not increase its width. So after each round of heavy blows to reduce the thickness, flip it on its side and bring it back into dimension so that the width is consistent throughout the entire workpiece. With the pommel stock broken down to the right dimension, we're going to move on to the handle. We're going to be adding a twist to the handle, which is both very aesthetically pleasing and will add good grip and texture to the handle of the letter opener. It's a very simple process. Just lock one half of the workpiece into a vise, and then using a wrench, I'm going to be using a twisting wrench, but you can just as easily use a pipe wrench or a crescent wrench. We're going to twist the workpiece. The trick here is to try to get an even spaced twist throughout the area. Now it's time to work on the blade of the letter opener. We're going to be putting in a very slight taper, which is also going to be doing a very slight reduction of material across the entire length of the blade. It's very important that this step is clean and even. The next step is going to be flattening out the blade, and any inconsistencies in this taper are going to show up in the blade profile. Once you have the blade reduced in size to about 1/3 its original thickness, you're ready to work on the bevels. Now, as you can see, this is a bit complicated and it'll take some practice to get good at it, or at least get comfortable with it. But you need to hold the workpiece right at the edge of the anvil, preferably at a slight angle, and you need to hammer down at an angle. Those two aspects will give you the edge profile that we're trying to create. The important thing here is don't hit too hard and don't go too fast. If you hit it too hard or you go too quick, you're going to really damage the edge and it gets very thin very fast. So be careful and take your time. Next, we're going to go back to the pommel area and we're going to give it a good brushing, and then we're going to turn it into a ring. I'm going to start by hammering this over the edge of the anvil to get it flat, and then I'm going to take it to the horn and slowly work it into a nice even ring. The final step is to put an edge on this blade, and man am I glad to have a grinder back in the shop. This is going to make life so much easier. And just to be clear, we're not making a knife here, we're just making a letter opener, so I'm not looking for razor sharpness, and I couldn't get it anyway in mild steel. What we're looking to do is put a well-supported edge on this blade so that it can kind of cut and tear its way through paper consistently without breaking down. I also went ahead and blunted the tip of this letter opener so that it wouldn't stab or poke anybody when they grab it from a drawer or when they're just being silly. Unfortunately, it's time to cue the sad music. The letter opener just didn't come out how I had planned. With the ring and the blade being perpendicular, it's always sitting up, and that's kind of annoying, but more importantly, if somebody rests the heel of their hand on top of that blade while it's vertical, they could really hurt themselves. There's also other things like the roughed-in bevels. They're just not as attractive as I was hoping they were going to be. And probably the most important thing of all, it's not very good at opening letters. Even the ring is a little too large and too heavy, and it kind of bumps into the heel of your hand in a comfortable way. But don't worry, we're going to fix all that right now. We're going to start by making the ring pommel and the blade parallel. To do that, we're going to lock the blade in the vise and give an extra quarter twist to the handle to bring them in alignment. Although it's only a quarter turn, make sure you keep the twist consistent. We'll also use this low heat to tweak the blade and straighten it up. To fix the pommel, we're going to need to uncurl the ring. Once we do that, we can use a hot cut hardy and cut off the excess material. Then we can reshape the material we have left into a smaller, more delicate ring. That'll be more aesthetically pleasing and better balanced to the overall letter opener. I like to take my time when I'm working over the horn. I find that getting a good even circle is something that takes a delicacy and very small hits with the hammer. I'll spend the time here that I need so that I'm happy with the ring that I have. Once I've got that ring on the pommel nice and concentric, I'm going to take it over to the edge and I'm going to fix up the transition between the handle and the pommel, because it usually gets twisted a bit when you're working on the horn. Back to the grinder. Man, I love this thing. This time we're going to grind in bevels. Originally I thought we would go with forged bevels, but I just didn't like that aesthetic for this piece. Now, I'm not a bladesmith and we're certainly not making a knife, but I am going to be trying to get a fairly consistent bevel down the entire length of the blade. Once we've got those bevels established and they're pretty clean, I'm going to go ahead and put a secondary edge on the blade of the letter opener. Now this is going to be the working edge that actually takes the brunt. It's not going to be sharp enough to cut somebody, but it does need to be well supported so that it can do a lot of work. After all, this thing's going to be used every day for opening tons of letters, so I want it to stand up. After we were done with grinding, I went ahead and put a wax finish on it. I really like this black iron-worked kind of a finish. It lets people know that this was made by somebody. You know, it has that old world blacksmith kind of a look. I still think the aesthetic is very nice too. I think that the more delicate ring is a better balance to the overall piece. And the twist still feels really good in the hand, gives you good grip. Most importantly though, it's good at opening letters, so I'm very happy about that. At the end of the day, I think we made something really good, and I think my brother's going to really enjoy this. Thanks for coming along on the project.